Hi everyone, welcome to the next chapter of our first Footwork series. So now I'm going to be showing you some of the movement patterns into the front and back corners. I'm going to kind of show two particular ways that I teach movement into the front and back corners of the court. You'll also see that I've got some targets down on the floor today. Those targets are actually going to be used to align your stride pattern correctly. So I'm going to be looking to place my foot, my leading foot, my front foot onto the circular targets that you will see in a second. This is to help me judge my distance with my stride pattern, to give me a reference of where to move to. Some people place squash balls down on the floor as kind of a focus of like where you're going to be hitting the ball in relation to your body to help with distance. This is going to be particularly more for coordinating your stride pattern to a particular moment. Now, I want to discuss firstly a bit about right, wrong foot, some things I hear coaches talk about a lot. I just want to stress that I teach really versatile styles of movement, so you can use your right leg in front, your left leg in front, open stance, closed stance. It's more important to me that you are in a good balanced position. A lot of people are also taller, smaller, bigger size steps. These kind of things need to be taken into account because you have to be able to be versatile with your movement. You will also find patterns which really suit you. Remember, the idea here is to repeat these movements continuously in a way that is comfortable for you, that you can then implement into your playing without any thought. Obviously, I know at the beginning there needs to be some thought process into practicing this and repeating it so it's a learned skill or movement pattern. But when you're playing, you don't really want to be taking into account, is it my right leg here? Is that 4 steps here? That conscious thought about the way of moving is already going to make your movement less effective. You want it to be more free and subconscious, and then you're less likely to have your movement break down in a game. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to teach kind of 2 ways to start with. The first way I would suggest, say you're more beginner intermediate level players, you should be practicing this a little bit more because this is what I call the arching movement or the L-shaped movement. A lot of people teach this. The reason why this is a bit better for, say, a newer player to the game is because it's much easier to judge a distance and create space from the ball because of the pathway that you take in. When I come to describe and discuss about the direct movement, it's a very relevant movement in the game of squash, but it is a little bit more complicated to judge the right kind of distance from the ball, okay? So I'll come to that in a second, but we're going to be looking at moving into the front corners now and how certain movement patterns will also suit certain types of shots. The movement pattern I start with, as I just said, is the arching movement. This can be really great just for creating more space, for making sure you come back out into the middle of the court and that you don't get too close to the side walls. Very common problem that I see a lot of players doing. But it's also great for, say, returning a high free wall boast or something where the ball's coming back into the middle. It's also very good if the ball is played a lot slower, where you have a bit more time. Okay? So what I'm going to be doing here is starting in my good T position. I'm going to incorporate the split step that we practiced or I showed you in the initial video in the Footwork series. So my feet are hip shoulder width apart. I'm going to use my racket and basically make sure that I am practicing the swing motion as well, because the footwork and the swing is one complete thing. Okay? Now from this position, I take my split and my first few steps will go up the center of the court and I'm going to curve across into my forehand as I'm a right-handed player. Okay, so from this position, in here, land my right foot on that circle there. Good, split. This time I'm bringing my left foot in, back to the tee. Same for the shorter target. Left foot here, back to the middle. Same with the right. So notice how my first movement comes up through the middle of the court, and I'm curving across and getting into that nice swing shape there for my forehand. The other thing to be really aware of is how I'm coming back out into the center of the court. So as I come into this position here, I come back out through the middle, and I bring my feet right underneath my hips straight away. This means, by returning with my feet underneath my body sooner, that if my opponent hits the ball before I come back to the tee, I'm already in a good balanced position to react. For instance here, into this shot, feet under, opponent's already hit the ball. Okay. Now the next movement pattern is the direct movement. So I've got this slightly shorter target just here, which is just as relevant, and one which is deeper in the corner. Now the direct movement is a must in squash. If you have a real pressured ball deep into the front corners, or someone's played it very quickly, you don't always have the luxury to be able to take this wider arching movement because you simply don't have time. Now admittedly, it is very important to keep the right amount of distance, but you need to take the quickest path into that corner, okay? I particularly like using my right side when I'm doing this more direct movement. Still looking to get my shoulders round. Same here with left. Now into that deeper corner position, back out to the tee. Little stutter there, too many steps, longer strides, and rest back at the tee. So now let's have a little look at how those movements work on the backhand side. You will notice one thing that is very important is that basically I'm trying to decelerate as I get to the target in this case, or as I get to my shot. The same also as I'm coming back to the tee. Think of where the two moments are you need the most balance and stability. I need stability and balance here. So if I decelerate back to the center in the last stride or two, I'm really secure and balanced and can change direction really easily. And the same as I get to my lunge, I don't want too much momentum, otherwise it's also so difficult to balance and stabilize myself, which is what's going to result in a successful swing and an accurate shot. But it's also going to mean that my momentum can come straight back out of the front corners and back to the tee without any extra steps over, as I see a lot of people doing. So it's the most efficient way to move. Fast from the tee, slow at the shot, fast out of the shot, slow at the tee. So let's have a look at that arching movement now. My racket's floating up here, so I'm nice and prepared. I'm going to start with that split step. Curving back out to the middle. Landing on left leg here. Nothing wrong with that if that's how it feels natural. Slow back to the tee. Same with that slightly shorter distance, which I'm going to be doing a lot. Slower speeds as well, sometimes quicker. Missed that target, so it's bad judgment. Okay, this is the best challenge for me, doing this exercise and talking to you guys back at home. Now the more direct movement, okay? So straight into that front corner. Still keeping that good distance from the target, or in a game situation from the ball. Slow to the tee. And back. Okay, so some different patterns there. Both are very, very, very necessary, especially the direct one when you have less time. Now, some of you might think, okay, how do I keep distance from my opponent? How do I clear the ball? If you're really definite with your movement and the way you head into the shot, then you will know the channel to move out to show a clear path to your opponent. You have the right to go direct to the ball, so there's no issue with moving in such a way, okay? Thank you very much. I'll get my breath back and then tune in for the backcourt movement. Thanks very much.